Let's add JEI compatibility to our mod. Let's see how to do that. Forging Fabric courses with advanced topics such as entities, custom structures, and 3D armor models linked in the description below. Alright, we found ourselves back in IntelliJ once more, and in this tutorial we're going to be adding the JEI integration or JEI compatibility to our mod. And first things first, what we need to do is we need to go to a GitHub and actually take a look at a JEI. So there we go. Here is the wiki for JEI, and it basically tells us everything we need to know to basically set this up. So you can see we want to add both of these to our repository. So let's just copy them over. So just select it, press Ctrl C. Then let's switch over to IntelliJ and go to build.gradle file at the very bottom, or not the very bottom, but right here in the repositories. Let's just add both of them. And then under the dependencies, we also want to add this one right here, both of them, by the way. That's actually very important. And then let's put this at the bottom right here, so just below the Minecraft one. What we can do is, instead of changing these variables right here, we can actually change them in the gradle.properties file. It makes it a little bit easier. So I will actually copy over the two variables here. You can see MC version of course 1.18.2 should be fairly self-explanatory. Now the question you might have is, how do you get this JEI version? Well, what you do is you just take this one right here, so this URL, and you go to your browser and you put it in here, and then you can go to mez, to JEI, and then to JEI 1.18.2, and then right here you have the newest version. So at the moment, actually, the newest version is 9.55174, so why not take this? So let's just copy this one over and then switch it right here. So in the Gradle properties file, just switch this one over to 174, and then we should be fine. Now, this might require us to update our Minecraft Forge as well, but it will say this. So what we can do after that is we can just load our Gradle changes, and then what we should find is, if this runs through, and we might run into an issue where it says, hey, you have to update your Forge, or it might actually be the case that we have to update it when we run the client. Well, we're going to see that in just a moment. Let this just run through. You know, it might take a couple of seconds. There you go, actually 17 seconds. That's totally fine. So now let's actually try and run the client once, because I am like 80% certain that it's going to say, hey, we need a better or a newer Forge version for this, but that is of course also totally fine. So let's just see if this works or not. Right, and as you can see, there you go, mod JEI requires Forge 40.07, so we actually do need a newer version of Forge, but no worries at all. We can just take a look at that as well. The newest version at the moment is 40.36, so let's just take this and then we're going to be fine. So this is going to be 36, there you go, and then we can use this, press the reload button again, and then we can see in the build here, once again, it's going to download everything. Might take up to a minute or so to download everything and get everything set up, and then we should be good to go. As per usual, any red here can be safely ignored. As long as at the end you get a build successful, everything should be fine. Alright, and there we go. After 2 minutes 39 seconds, a build successful. So we can close this again, and then we can continue actually adding JEI. So JEI has now been added to our project right here. And what we can do in our tutorial mod package, we're going to make a new package called integration. Then inside of there, what we're going to do is two new classes. One of them is the JEI tutorial mod plugin, and the other one is going to be the gem cutting station recipe category. There you go. We're going to start with the plugin. I will be copying over most of this, but it's going to be fine. So this implements the iMod plugin, and you can see Mez JEI API. So if this does show up, then you know you've done it right. Let's implement the method here. This is going to be the plugin UID method. And then we also need to add the JEI plugin at the top of this class. This is very important, otherwise it's not going to work. Here, we're just going to make a new resource location for our tutorial mod ID. We're just going to call this the JEI plugin. There you go, and that should be fine. We also need to override the register categories method. So this is the register categories method, as well as the register recipes method, this one right here. So I will copy over the contents of this. So in the register categories method right here, you can see we're having this. Now this is currently displaying an error because our gem cutting station is not done yet, the category right here, but that's going to be fine. And then the same thing goes right here. You can see we're basically not yet having added the UID to our category, but the rest is going to be fine. So we're just going to keep it like this, and then go into our gem cutting station recipe category. where I will first of all implement the iRecipe category of type gem cutting station recipe. So this is our custom recipe class, and then this is the I category. Let's implement the methods, and you can see it's quite a few of them actually, and there's quite a bit of things that we want to do. Now I will actually be copying over the entire contents of this class. Those are of course available to you in the description below, GitHub repository and individual just as well. Now when we copy this over, we should get no errors. However, we should get those two things right here where those two are marked as deprecated. Now, I have actually taken a look at a few GitHub repositories of other mods, and they are still using those, so I'm not 100% sure when these are slated for, well, complete deletion. We can actually take a look at this. So, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure when that is going to be the case, but, you know, just keep that in mind. So this might change if you're watching this maybe even in the distant future. Possibly it might be that those two are no longer available, and then you have to maybe take a look at the wiki yourself. So the wiki here is always available as well, and you can take a look at some of the, well, different things that you have in here as well, so that you can basically know what to do as well. But yeah, that's basically going to be something that might happen. Otherwise, the rest, let's go through it. So we have the constructor right here where you can see we're just setting the background for this particular texture. This is just our GUI here, and we're just setting it at 0, 0, and then the width and the height of the actual background here. And then the icon is just the icon of our gem cutting station, so that it basically displays properly. Here you can see we're just returning the UID. This is just the type of our recipe. And then the recipe class, you can see we're just returning the class of the gem cutting station recipe. This one is just the name of our, well, the title once again, the background and the icon, all fairly self-explanatory. And then the set recipe is the very interesting thing. As you can see, basically what I'm doing here is that I am basically setting the recipe, the input here. So we have 3 inputs at particular positions. Now those positions are actually the same positions where the slots are. So you can see 3440, 5718, and so on and so forth. These are the actual positions of there. And then you can see the first one we're going to set to the water potion. The second one is just from the actual recipe. And then the third one here, or, you know, yeah, and then the third one at this position is just going to be the gem cutter tools. We're also drawing the output right here at position 80 and 60, right over the output slot basically, and that is pretty much all that we're doing. There you go. Then also those arrows should then lift as well, and that is literally all that we're doing in this case. Any other functionality, I highly suggest that you take a look at the wiki or other mods on GitHub. They pretty much almost always include some JEI compatibility as well, with especially if they have custom recipe types. So you should be able to find a lot of stuff there as well. This really is just for our example, and then also just to get you basically started with JEI so that you have it in your program and then you can start using it. Right, because this is everything that we need to add. Let's see if it works. All right, we find ourselves in Minecraft, and as you can see, JEI has been added to our mod right here, or, you know, to our development environment. And let's see if I click on the gem cutting station, actually nothing happens. This is not always a good sign. Let's also press R right here, so you can see actually we have some sort of issue. So if you have this, right, if it doesn't quite work, then let's actually go back to IntelliJ, and what we can do is we can just, first of all, go up here, and you can see, aha, there is probably something happening right here in the plugin, and you can see something is not right here. So what might this be? And we can basically take a look. Index 0 is out of bounds for length 0. So that is very interesting. We can see the gem cutting thing right here. So when we get the ingredient 0, this actually doesn't work. So that's actually very interesting, because in theory, our recipe, when we have a recipe here for our gem cutting station recipe, we should actually be able to find, you know, recipe item 0. This actually should exist in theory. So let's see if there is any issues here. The issue is actually very easily solved, and that is by overriding the get ingredients method right here, and then just returning our recipe items right here. I'm not sure why this is not a method that we have to override. It seems like a very interesting thing to not include, but if we then actually restart our, you know, Minecraft again, then it should start working. So let's see once again. Right, we found ourselves back, and let's see now. If I click on this, nothing yet. R, aha, there you go. So if I hover over the citrine and press R, basically seeing how I can craft it, you can see the gem cutting station, and there is our recipe. So we can see basically what we have to put in to get our citrine out of it. So this is, you know, a little bit of an introduction here to basically on how to add JEI to your, well, dev environment, and also to, well, basically start with adding your custom recipes to the actual interface. Really freaking awesome. Right, but that would already be it for this tutorial right here. I hope you found this useful and you learned something new. If you did, I would very much appreciate a like. And don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials just like this one. I also want to thank all of my lovely Patreon supporters for supporting me and this channel. It is very much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. So, yeah.